Imagine waking up every morning, knowing the ground beneath your feet is literally on fire. And it has been for over 6 decades. A quiet American town, once filled with laughter, children, and Sunday barbecues. Now reduced to a smoldering ghost town, buried in smoke, fire, and silence. Welcome to Centralia, Pennsylvania, a place where a simple mistake turned into one of the longest burning underground fires in human history. But here's the haunting part. The fire is still burning today. So what really happened? Why didn't they stop it? And how did a thriving town vanish into smoke? Literally. Stay with me, because what you're about to see will change the way you look at man-made disasters forever. In 1962, Centralia was just like any other small coal mining town in America. A tight-knit community. A place where everyone knew your name. But everything changed with one decision. The town council approved the burning of trash in an old strip mine, a common practice. Except this time, something went wrong. Deep below the surface, a network of abandoned coal mines had filled with flammable gases. When the fire reached one of these seams, it spread quietly, invisibly. No one noticed at first. Life went on. But weeks later, strange things started happening. A strong smell of smoke in basements, heat rising through cracks in the roads, and then deadly levels of carbon monoxide. Still, officials claimed it was under control. It wasn't. By the time anyone realized the fire had gone deep underground, it was too late. Centralia was already burning from the inside out. Most people can't imagine what an underground fire looks like. It doesn't roar, it doesn't blaze through trees. It simmers. It creeps silently under homes, under roads, beneath your feet. The Centralia fire stretched across 8 miles, burning through hundreds of coal seams below the town. Temperatures underground hit 1,000 degrees, 537 degrees. The ground literally began collapsing. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski fell into a sinkhole that suddenly opened in his grandmother's backyard. It was 4 feet wide and nearly 150 feet deep. Had he not grabbed a tree root, he would have vanished. That's when the US finally realized this wasn't just an environmental issue. It was a deadly one. But by then, more than $7 million had already been spent trying to contain the blaze, and it was still spreading. By the early 1980s, the US government declared Centralia uninhabitable. Gases were leaking into basements. Roads were buckling. In 1984, Congress approved a $42 million relocation plan, and most of Centralia's 1,000-plus residents were bought out and evacuated. Homes were condemned, schools shut down, buildings were bulldozed one by one. Yet not everyone left. A small group of residents refused to move. "This is my home," one said. "The fire won't chase me out." Legal battles followed. It wasn't until 2013, almost 30 years later, that the remaining residents finally gave up their legal claim. But they were allowed to stay, for life. Today, fewer than 5 people live in Centralia. No zip code, no post office, just empty streets, ghostly silence, and the fire still burning quietly below. As days turned into weeks and weeks into years, one thing became clear. No one really knew what to do. The local government initially tried to minimize the threat. Reports were muffled, press briefings were vague, and in some shocking moments, there were even attempts to cover up the growing fire. Some residents recall being told, "It's just steam," while others watched their basements fill with toxic gas. But why the silence? The truth: declaring a full-blown emergency would have meant admitting to a massive infrastructural failure, and so the town burned, quietly. Imagine a fire that doesn't need oxygen from the air. One that slithers beneath your feet, invisible, feeding on coal and spewing deadly carbon monoxide. This is no ordinary fire. This is a coal seam fire, and Centralia's is one of the most dangerous ever recorded. These fires can burn at 1,000 degrees, 538 degrees, and travel up to 70 feet per year underground. Centralia's coal veins acted like arteries, carrying the fire to new places, new homes, unpredictable and uncontrollable. In the face of fire, you'd expect everyone to leave, but not in Centralia. A small group of residents, tough, proud, and rooted, made a decision. "This is my home, and I'm not leaving." Even as their neighbors fled and buildings were bulldozed, a handful stayed behind, living on legal battles, bottled water, and sheer willpower. Their fight became legendary, not just against fire, but against the government's forced eviction. One elderly man even said, "I'd rather burn here than die in a city I don't know." By the early 2000s, Centralia had become something else entirely. A place where the living had left, but the curious came flocking in. Graffiti-covered roads, cracked highways bleeding steam, and an eerie silence made it a magnet for urban explorers, ghost hunters, and even TikTokers looking for their next viral thrill. But for the remaining residents, this wasn't an amusement park. It was home, or at least what was left of it. "We're not ghosts," one woman once snapped at a film crew. "We're people, we just don't want to leave." In 1992, the US government had had enough. They invoked eminent domain, claiming nearly every property in Centralia, and offering residents a payout to leave. Many took the offer, but others, the last of Centralia, refused. Court cases stretched for decades. Even as bulldozers flattened churches and businesses, a few homes stood defiantly, like tombstones of resistance. "We didn't want your money," said one elderly homeowner. "We wanted our town." In 2013, the final legal blow came. They could stay, but once they died, their homes would belong to the state. In 1966, back when Centralia still believed in its future, a group of school kids buried a time capsule behind the local post office. It was meant to be opened in 2016, 50 years later. Inside, coins, newspapers, student essays, and an undeniably haunting symbol of irony, a coal shovel. When it was finally unearthed, it was like opening a letter from a ghost town that never thought it would vanish. The shovel, once a tool of progress, had become a symbol of destruction. Centralia may be nearly gone, but its story lives on. You've probably seen it without even realizing it. The haunting town of Silent Hill in the iconic horror game and movie series? Inspired by Centralia, the smoke, the sirens, the ash-covered streets, all drawn from real life, from a town that became hell on earth. Centralia became an icon of slow-burn horror, not just in games and movies, but in the public's imagination. You might think, that was a freak accident, one small town, long ago. But here's the truth. There are dozens of other coal seam fires, in China, India, even Pennsylvania, still burning today. Some are worse than Centralia. One Indian village has been on fire for over 100 years, with children born into smoke and displacement. So could this happen again? It's not just possible. It already is, and we've learned very little. Today, Centralia is a ghost, not just of buildings, but of what happens when fire meets denial. Only a handful of homes remain. No zip code, no mayor, no stores, no schools, only memories. And the ever-burning flame beneath the soil. A place that was wiped from maps, not by bombs or war, but by a mistake no one ever truly took responsibility for. As you watch this, the fire still burns, and it will, for the next 250 years, maybe more. They say fire purifies, but here in Centralia, it erased. A town lost not to nature, but to human neglect. And a reminder that what lies beneath can always rise up, if we refuse to see the warning signs.